If you want to be married for life, taking time for your marriage isn't an option. You have to take time because relationships are like muscles. If you don't take the time to build them, they atrophy and slowly shrivel. Do you miss having time for Jesus and yourself, but you're drowning in the responsibilities of motherhood? If so, you're in the right place. Hi, I'm Cheryl, wife, girl mom, and Jesus follower. I learned the not-so-secret ways to become the mom my girls needed by prioritizing Jesus back into my mom life and reclaiming my identity in Christ. If you're ready to build faith while washing dishes, rediscover your identity, and love yourself like your babies do, grab your earbuds and lock that bathroom door for a minute alone. It's time for Mom. Hi, beautiful. Welcome to the Time for Mom podcast. I'm your host, Cheryl. Welcome to the final episode for the February marriage series. It's going to be a little bit short, but that's okay. You're a mom. You don't have a lot of time anyway. And real quick, before we dive into this last episode on marriage, I just wanted to let you know that we are going to be having another live workshop. Yay! Details are coming, and I promise you will not want to miss out. So if you want to be the first one to know, head on over to bit.ly/time-for-mom, subscribe, and make sure you do not miss out on this amazing opportunity. And as a bonus, you will get a backlog of all of the devotions I've written since September of 2024. So we're up to like 60 devotions. Head on over to the link that I will have in the show notes and subscribe. And now on to today's episode. Marriage is a time commitment. You know, it says for life, for better, for worse, till death do us part. Sometimes, unfortunately, death is sooner rather than later, but hopefully, marriage is a lifetime commitment. And when you're exploring marriage, you take the time to get to know your spouse. And when you think you know them inside and out, you get married. And you're in for a whole lot of surprises. Because getting to know someone is one thing, and living with them is a whole nother kettle of fish. We invest a lot of time pre-marriage into each other, whether it's with counseling, books on love and relationships. But once we get married, we don't need those anymore, right? Well, maybe, but maybe not. When my husband and I were dating, we spent hours on the phone and texting and even emailing because, well, one, this was 10 years ago, and two, we were 10 hours, 3 states, and a time zone apart. When we did see each other face to face, we spent everything but our sleeping hours together. We worked together. We went on scouting trips. We went on hikes. I showed my husband to be, before he was even my fiance, all my favorite spots where I lived. And then when we got engaged, we started preparing for a lifetime together. We did premarital counseling with my husband's pastor. When I came up to visit him, we had face-to-face counseling because, like I said, we were a ways apart. And then we also read and listened to absolutely amazing books like Love and Respect and The 5 Love Languages. And when we got married, we added a book called Sheet Music into the mix and Laugh Your Way to a Better Marriage. As a stay-at-home wife, I got to spend a lot of time with my husband on his job and off. We naturally spent every non-awake and waking, non-working moment and some working moments together. And then we had kids. And when we had kids, marriage got so much harder. We had less time for each other and yet more demands for our time than ever before, even though my husband's extremely time-demanding job had been put behind him at this point. And for me, I was completely drained. I gave everything I had to my kids, and what wasn't given to my kids was spent cleaning the house and cooking meals and just, breathing and hopefully sleeping. All I wanted to do was sleep, in all honesty. I was so tired. And I had nothing left for my husband. But if you want to be married for life, taking time for your marriage isn't an option. You have to take time because relationships are like muscles. If you don't take the time to build them, they atrophy and slowly shrivel. This is coming from a person who is currently in physical therapy because I've had this exact issue, but in my body, not my marriage. We got that part fixed. Anyway. The longer a relationship is neglected, the harder it is to restore what is lost because you've lost more ground and you have to regain that ground. And it takes a lot more time and a lot more effort to heal what's been broken. So taking time for your husband shouldn't be an option. It should be a priority. Your children will live if you and your husband take a moment to steal a hug and a kiss. I remember growing up that my dad would come home from work and he would go see my mom first, and they would have a hug and they'd have a kiss, and then we got to attack him. And you know what? I lived through having to wait, and I know my kids will too. Your kids and my kids will live if they need to wait while you and your spouse have a 5-minute conversation. They don't know it, but you do. Everything is urgent to a child. Everything seems like life or death to a child. Everything has to be dealt with now when you're a child. And we as parents get to train them that, no, it's going to be okay. You can wait for a minute. Let mommy and daddy have a moment. Even if you can't get away overnight, go on dates, or have anyone you trust to leave your kids with for 30 minutes, you can still stay connected with your spouse. We don't have a lot of expendable income, and I have a character flaw that makes it hard for me to impose on people I truly trust to take care of my kids. But we've still learned how to stay connected. We greet each other every morning. We check in to see how we're doing. We have conversations. We look each other in the eye. We catch up on things that are on our calendars, and we, like I said, take time for conversation, whether this is before the kids are awake, after they go to bed, or sometimes it is during the day, and we'll send them outside to play if it's a serious conversation. But you need to take time to stay connected with your spouse. And something that is hard because as a mom, it feels like we're meeting everyone's needs except our own, because that is something that is important to meet our own needs, but it seems less important than everybody else's. But we also need to make sure we're considering our husband's needs, our spouse's needs, because like I said, with kids, everything's important to them. Everything is urgent, and our spouses tend to get left in the dirt. And as a result, they don't feel loved, they don't feel seen, and there's just an ever-widening gap between you. Are your spouse's needs being met? Do they feel loved? Do you? You know what? Pouring out to kids and raising your kids isn't terrible, but you still need to feel loved by your spouse, and you need to take time to love your spouse. Are you making time for intimacy? Husbands and wife both need intimacy, whether we admit it or not. Husbands just tend to be more vocal. And if you need to on these topics, you can listen to episodes 5 and 8 for more information. I will have them in the show notes for you. And honestly, I could talk about marriage and the importance of staying connected with your spouse for hours upon hours. I could actually kind of like geek out on it. But anyway, I will stop here. If you have any questions or comments, come and join the Time for Mom chat on Substack. I made this space for moms who want to make time for what is most important, God, their family, and making time to refill so they can be present with their family. Come over, subscribe, say hi, ask your questions, join the community. And that, again, is bit.ly/timeformomsubscribe. Until next week, mamas, I just pray that you will find time for your husband, maybe a little time for yourself, and definitely just steal a few moments together. Surprise your husband with a kiss when he's least expecting it. Send him a flirtatious text. They really don't mind that. They kind of like it. Don't give your life to your kids. Your husband is important too. Your kids will survive long enough. They need dad too. They don't just need a mom. They need both of you. And the time that you invest in your marriage will serve your kids. They just won't see it until they're an adult. I know I didn't. Until next week, mamas, I pray that you find extra time or make extra time for your husband, and maybe even just a little bit of time for yourself. Love, Cheryl. Hey, beautiful. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, would you take 30 seconds to share this with a mom who's wading through those mounds of laundry and dishes and wishing for just a little me time? Also, please leave a quick review for the show on Apple Podcasts. It makes my day to know this podcast has helped you. Well, it's time for me to wash more dishes and cook more food. I'll meet you next Wednesday for another episode. Until then, may the God of grace fill you with his peace.